On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, don't forget to add these to your shopping list this week. Breakfast beer,
ghost power tools,
and chicken butt. Let's do this.
Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
I'm Liz.
And we're going to talk season 13, episode 5, Advanced Thanatology. I think is how you say it.
Yeah, I think that is. So Thanatology is the study of death.
Yeah.
Which is clever if you know that. And I will say this, maybe not to spoil it, but the writer who wrote this, Steve Yoki or Aki, never figured out how to say his last name. When he wrote all his episodes for season 12, he was the one who put the names of the characters in all the titles. So that was the Celebrating Life of Asa Fox. Lily Sunder has some regrets, Twigs and Twines of Tasha Baines. And so interesting that he just kind of went completely away from that. And now we're in this study of death, which is, I think it's funny considering what happens in the episode. But
dark funny, but yes.
Yes.
For sure.
So.
So what have you been up to, Liz?
Oh, nothing really. I will say I had to have a conversation with my therapist about the anxiety attack I had in my pool and whether or not it was legitimate to be afraid there was going to be a snake in a skimmer. And she thinks that my fears are totally founded and that, they're not crazy and it is perfectly normal to be anxious of having a snake in my pool. Because there have been snakes, like when I explained that there was a snake in the pool and it was in the, so what happened is that we got a lot of rain. Like we had over 8 inches of rain. And so my pool has really, really filled up and you can't see where the water goes out to the skimmer baskets, the things that catch all the stuff. And where they catch the stuff is where sometimes animals get trapped. And, I tried to have the little pool, like floaty things that come out of there. But anyways, when I got in there, the water is so high, you can't really see into the skimmer basket to see if anything is in there. So it was like me for 20 minutes, like looking at it, because the only way you could tell would be to either to swim right up to it or to go to the top and pull the top thing out and look down into it, which I'm not pulling the top thing out because that's, if there's something in there, then it's going to jump out and eat your face. Like I've seen
you
that
need like a stick to go
I do.
pull the top thing off.
I do have a reacher, but it's still, I can use my pokey stick to do it, but yeah, it's just, and then like there was reflections of things in there. I'm like, is that reflecting off of scales? Is that, is there something in there that like looks like it has scales and is coiled up that I just can't tell is a snake? And then eventually I gave up and just was like, okay, if there's a snake in there, we'll be friends.
They probably can't get out if they're in the basket too. Is the other good news.
That's the other thing. Then they're stuck in there, which is sad.
Is,
and I don't want them to be stuck in there. But we'll find out when Pool Guy comes tomorrow. But,
there you go.
Yeah. So, and what have you been up to?
What did I do? I feel like I've done a bunch of things, but I haven't done anything. Oh, I went to one of the World Cup games, which was super fun. That was at, I got to go see England versus Croatia. And the Brits were and the Croatians were drinking, in case you were curious. But that was a neat experience. I read
somewhere that it was supposed to be one of the best games to see. Yeah. Was that one?
Yeah, and it was a super high scoring, and it was just like a really for soccer, it was a very exciting game because I don't find it particularly most exciting sport typically. But it was a really good time and a cool experience, and there's just people from all over the world literally there, and that was cool. Like there was people from Japan sitting in front of us, people from Britain behind us, expat that moved from England to US next to us. So it was just like people from all over. It's kind of cool just sharing that, and then people singing drinking songs and taking their shirts off like they do at all sporting events. So, but it was entertaining. And,
no, but it doesn't happen at all sporting events.
No.
I mean, I guess it depends on like what you call like some sporting events, but not all. Like a tennis match, maybe people are not like golf matches.
I don't know, unless you go like Adam Sandler levels, maybe. But yeah,
gymnastic meets,
I guess,
cheerleading competitions.
Yeah. Okay. Well, some sporting events, some American sporting events, this was translated into the Brits as very well. So
yeah,
they were ready.
And like karate matches.
I mean, they might.
I would say UFC fights, but no, they do.
Off.
They do take the people in the crowd do take their shirts off and fight and drink and fight each other. So,
yeah. But yeah, so no, we did that. That was a really cool thing to go experience. And then I had to go eat barbecue because all I keep hearing about is everybody from all over the world visiting Texas and eating barbecue. And then so I had to have barbecue. So, but yeah, we celebrated our 10th wedding anniversary and went to a really cool restaurant called Evelyn. That's like old Hollywood steakhouse is their vibe. And there's dancers sometimes like pop up. It's really cute. And then, and then my stepson made us chili chiles on Father's Day, and that was delicious.
Yay, that's my story. Free Father's Day food.
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't. I mean, but yeah, it was somebody else cooking. I'll take it.
There's somebody else cooking. That was totally. What did you pay for it? Did you buy the groceries?
Yes.
Oh my God. What a cheap ass little bastard.
He's visiting from out of town. It's different. It's fine.
But you go to the store and you buy the ingredients.
I bought them.
This is Father's Day. It's not.
I'm not Father's. It's fine. I went shopping. Made it work.
I know you're not the father,
and
it's not. You're not cooking. What a little brat! Sorry, he's a brat.
He's not. He cooked. It was a delicious meal. He cooked so well.
It's a sweet thing to do, but
dude, chili chiles and eggs and chili chiles, eggs and skirt steak. It was really
chili chiles. Yeah. You know the chili chiles.
Yeah, it's delicious. But yeah, so now I've been busy, I feel like, but good busy. I'll take it. Celebratory busy is fun. And then a lot of like downtime, like floating in the pool. Like, well, I would just have like 30 minutes of nothing. I'm like, I'm going to go read in the pool for 30 minutes.
That was yeah. Very cool.
But yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, so that's all I got too, and I've got nothing new on our fellas. Honestly, I didn't even check the news for it this week, so I'm bad on that.
It's kind of a bad season. It's like bad time of year. There's not much going on usually.
Yeah, there's just nothing going on. There's nothing on TV. Like I finished watching The Owl House, which finished. I think that was like wrapped in like 2003 or something. I don't know, but that was. I would recommend. I will add that in. I would recommend that as a show. It was a kids show on Disney Channel. But it's about, I don't know, about weirdos. And it was recommended by someone in one of my classes. And so I liked it. And yeah. Anyways, so I recommend watching that because there's nothing else to watch. Everything is done. I know. I guess unless you want to watch World Cup, like that's all that's.
I mean, AGT is still on.
AGT is
just started.
On.
But it's just one big block.
And Drag Race All Stars. But so that's once a week. At least AGT is like 3 hours or something like that. So it kills like a good chunk of time.
I don't know. We do have a season of 90 Day Fiance. So I'm all in on that. And I'm still catching up on Farmer Wants a Wife. So I mean, I'm gonna fill my time. It's okay. But and I did watch Maternal Instinct on Netflix over this weekend.
Okay, one of my problems with I just finished replay because it took me a while to finish. I kept watching it at night and falling asleep. So I finally finished watching it right before we filmed. Started taping, and her accent, because it's East Texas, like just reminds me of my sister-in-law and also some of my family members. So there's some things where I was like, oh shit, and like looking at like when they would show like fingers crossing and like I'm not knowing anybody that's showing up in this documentary because like those accents, I'm like, oh, these are too close to home. These may be people I'm related to. Like please don't, please, but yeah, that was quite a story.
It was very sad.
That is very sad.
And just bizarre. I feel like I needed a little bit more like wrap up and I didn't get.
She's getting the death penalty. How much more of a wrap up than you need?
I mean, does she ever like explain or like say
why
anything?
She went crazy pants and like cut out a woman's baby?
Yes, and
Because
it's not, and that's not a spoiler, by the way, because it's a true crime thing. It's just a story about it. But yes,
it's at the beginning of the it's the beginning of the
is.
documentary. I don't
Yes.
think it's a spoiler.
Yeah, no, I just felt like there would be some kind of like a wrap up. I don't watch a lot of those, so I don't know. I just felt like there'd be something like, and then she admitted that she was fucking bonkers. I don't know, like give me something at the end.
And she's done I don't know if she did Dateline. I've seen the story and other things, but I mean, they're like, they can have interviews afterwards, but
yeah. I
don't know. I don't really need to hear anything from her. I
guess like, I don't want to hear anything from her either. Yeah,
I mean, honestly, I don't want to talk about death penalty stuff.
No, that's a different conversation.
That's a different conversation.
She was convicted for her crime. That's what
she was convicted, and the whole situation for the whole family is just really sad. Awful. And it's just really weird too, because there was like some of the rodeo world was kind of crossed in there too. So it's just kind of like, oh, like it was very Texas-y. And a lot of like people who I felt like I could
have known,
like I could literally be related to, not like I relate to, but I feel like I could be. Well, I can feel like that gossip happening, and like I can see that family that text chain, just happening. Yeah. And like, oh my God, did you see so and so? So I would recommend that too. This is very different from the Owl House. Very, very different.
It is not a Disney kids show.
It is not a Disney kids show.
It is not, but yeah.
I will say that like there is an owl, like in the Owl House is a demon who possesses the house, and his name is Hootie, and they start calling him Hootsufer at some point, and I'm just in love with it because his name is Hootsufer. That's funny. Yeah, okay. Of course I would just be like, oh, I love the thing that's named like Lucifer. But anyways, all right, let's talk about this show. Let's talk about Supernatural. This is what we're here to do. We're here to talk about Supernatural. And so this is Advanced Thanatology, episode 5 from season 13. It first aired November 9th, 2017. It was directed by John F. Showalter, who last season did American Nightmare, The British Invasion, and Who We Are. And as I said earlier, it was written by Steve Yaki. Sorry, sir, someday. Just tell me what you come on the show and tell me how to pronounce your name, and I'll get it right. So last season is that he did Asa Fox, Lily Sunder, and Tasha Bates. So we go to our recap, and it's a pretty extensive recap this time. We've got younger Sam and Dean's just dying over again. We get Death. I'm like, oh, I miss Death. And we get Dean killing Death. Then we rehear Billie saying that she was going to toss the boys into the empty the next time they die. And now that we get to rehear that line after seeing Cass in the empty, I think that makes that line a whole different. So I'm glad we put that back in there.
Agreed.
Then we have Billie being stabbed by Cass, so we're reminded that happened, and Dean apologizing for being a dick. And then they're just like, look, Dean actually apologized and admitted that he was a dick, so we have to show that he could do that, and asking Sam to keep the faith. And that's where we start off, and then we go to Grand Junction, Colorado.
These fucking kids, man.
And this is when you can tell it's 2017 because they're hopping fence with actual cameras and not phones.
Yeah, but they're small camcorders, but they each have their own small camcorder.
Yeah.
And they are sneaking in at night to an abandoned mental hospital with a bunch of signs that say keep out. Damn it. So I'm creeped out. I'm not excited. This is Diana for myself speaking. And I know there's going to be jump scares because they're talking about, and then they also discuss how they should both have full batteries, but we don't see a full battery. It's really annoying. Like the battery's not full.
That's frustrating. Why did you not charge your equipment before you did this with the okay. Yeah. So one of the teens is getting scared. Yeah, and wants to bail. And the other one assures him that it will be awesome. And the house is unlocked, and that's weird to one of them. And should be weird to the other one as well, that this house is unlocked.
Correct.
And I think this house is weird as they go into it because it's full of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff in it for an unlocked
house.
This is
a full of no one has come and methed out in here. What the fuck? Why is there so much just regular doctor stuff still here? Okay, and I've seen abandoned houses and haunted houses with stuff in them before. There's never this much stuff.
A lot of stuff. So they go upstairs and the music intensifies. So I'm like super stressed and don't even want to look at the screen now in case you were curious. But the one kid's talking about how there was this creepy doctor and they go into his office where there are plague masks and maps of brains where apparently he would cut open the heads of his patients. Ew.
Yeah, and they decide that they are going to seal one by stuffing it into a backpack. And seriously, why would these masks be here? There is no way this house would exist to be abandoned and have those masks there. People would have stolen that shit like so long ago. People would have taken them. They would have been wearing them. They would have been sold. They would have been on eBay. Yeah. There is no way like they were just sitting in this fucking house.
For years and years, for decades.
Just like, no, I'm sorry. I don't buy this shit. I don't buy it. So, they put it in the backpack and there's some weird noises, then voices. Then there's a guy and he's in a plague mask and he has a drill.
Yeah. And he attacks them. And so the camera gets dropped. The other camera's been put down and as I say, the boss here of the kids, he gets got by the doctor dude with the drill, and the other one gets a cut but runs away.
Yep, and you just hear like drill sounds and screaming, "Chill, baby, chill!" And like as the scared one runs away. No. Yeah. Ugh. So then we go to the bunker.
Yeah, and Dean is making a PB&J for breakfast, and Sam offers him a beer with it because Sam's gonna be weird.
It's just weird. And Dean declines with an "I'm cool," which is probably much like what I would say if you offered me a beer at like with breakfast. Just be like, "I'm cool." I mean, it's interesting that Dean says it.
Yeah, exactly. So Sam has a case though about this teen. Sean is his name, was found wandering along the highway and his best friend's missing and he would only say one word and that was monster. So and
he was
Sam's
really into the energy drink.
He was really tired. He needed one really bad. I mean, I'm more of a Red Bull Zero kind of girl, but do you. But yeah, so basically Sam's like, why don't we just go? We'll leave Jack here. He'll be fine. He's, watching all my fantasy DVDs.
Including Beastmaster 2, the one with the time-traveling ferrets.
Yes, that's what he says. And so, yeah, he'll be fine.
Dean wonders how Sam ever got laid.
He does. Yeah. I mean, that's because there's girls that like that stuff too. But anyway, so...
and he's extremely hot. So Sam decides he's going to leave Jack behind with some extra warning. And so they decide they're going to roll up. They roll up to Colorado and they pull up in suits.
Yeah, and Sam trades IDs with Dean, and Dean also thinks that's weird because they're going to be Paige and Plant, and anyways. Sam is just being overly accommodating.
Sam is being overly nice, but apparently he always wants to be Paige, and he doesn't, so this time he's going to be Robert Plant. I wouldn't want to be Robert Plant either, but I also wouldn't want to be Jimmy Page. Anyhow, so they go into the house for the family of the scared boy who ran away, and this is Sean.
Yes. And the mom is kind of confused while they're there, but also like Sean apparently can't or won't talk because of the psychological trauma he experienced. And so Sam's going to sit and talk to mom while Dean goes and tries to get Sean to talk, where Sean is frantically drawing plague doctor masks. Yeah.
And then the mom, because we're kind of going back and forth, and the mom says that Evan is still missing, but there's a third friend too. His name is Mike, and they would never do anything without him. So she's not sure like why Mike wasn't there.
Yeah.
Then we go back to the other room, and Dean asks Sean if that's the monster, the plague mask doctor, but he's drawing, and he's like, "Is this the monster that you told the cops about?" Mm-hmm. And he's like, "I know what it's like to see monster, but me and my brother, we're the guys who stop monsters. We're the ones who scare them." Ooh, yeah, Dean.
Gotta talk. So Sam and Dean go to the hotel. That's our next scene. And we find out Sean did not talk. So Dean did not get any intel from him, but they're going to go find Mike next, the one of the trio of friends. And then Sam suggests that they go to the strip club. And Dean is confused once again. Apparently the strip club is called
The Clam Diver.
Yes. And apparently it has really good reviews on the internet.
It must be by the airport to have that name. It must be by the airport. But
oh my gosh.
I also do appreciate strip clubs that have internet reviews.
Right. So apparently Sam has been reading their reviews. And Dean is like, WTF? Like, why are you being weird? And Sam's like, I'm just trying to be nice because, you're all fucked up, basically, is what he's saying. And Dean says he's fine. But, yeah.
And he's going to fight his way back the way he always does. And that's with the 3 Bs: bullets, bacon, and booze.
Mm-hmm.
And he rings a bell on the counter. And Sean wakes up screaming in bed. Because we're going to go from that hotel to poor Sean in his bed. And his mom's going to come in and tell him it's just a bad dream. And which I don't know, like if my son had been experiencing that type of trauma, I'm not sure my response is, I mean, I'm not, judging you and your mom skills here, lady, but her response is come in, tell him that his screaming that he's had is from a bad dream, kiss him on the forehead and leave.
Yeah, when he's that traumatized, maybe stay with him a little longer or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Take him out of the room. Do something. It just seems, but apparently he had reasons to be afraid because when she shuts the door, the sound of a drill comes from the corner.
Yes, and the fucking plague doctor ghost thing is there, and it does the shuddery thing, and I hate the shuddery thing when it moves like that. I don't like it.
Yeah, and so he screams and he runs at Sean.
Yeah, so then we cut to the motel or hotel where Sam is woken up at 8 a.m. by his alarm, and Dean's bed is still perfectly made, but Dean is there on the floor, dressed still with a bra around his neck and a tie around his head.
Yeah, and he is snoring really, really loud, and Sam just decides to get dressed and just to leave Dean there.
Yeah, so he goes to find Mike, who is loading hay out in the country. And he's like, I already told the cops. I don't know where they went. I wasn't with them. He's like, I don't know where Sean went. I wasn't with them. And Sam's like, you're lying. Don't you see the cop shows? I know how to tell. I know how to tell too. Anything you forgot to tell the police, you should tell me. And so basically he's convinced that Evan, the other kid who's missing that we know is dead, is pulling some kind of a prank and hiding out. And then he finally spills that they were going to the Meadows place and that Evan dared them to go. But Mike was scared and he just wanted to be assured that his friends are going to be okay.
Oh,
sorry.
Poor Mike, man. Like, we kind of lose, the Mike thread's going to get lost here. So this is the last we hear from Mike. So sorry, Mike.
Hi, Mike. Bye, Mike.
Hi, Mike. And we go to the hotel has a buffet, which is really pretty stellar if you've got a hangover to have a buffet with this is a pretty nice continental, looks like a good one for a motel.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And Dean is getting all the bacon. And then Sam kind of gives him some shit, but then also hands him a beer. So he's happy about that.
Oh, what the hell? You're just enabling him now. You're just enabling him.
Yeah. I mean, I can't do hair of the dog. I always hear people say that. That just always makes me feel worse. So I don't get it. But,
it depends. I mean, the thing is, if the hair of the dog just means you're getting drunk again. That's just where we're going. So, all right. So Sam gives Dean the tablet and the lowdown on Dr. Meadows.
Yes. So Dr. Avery Meadows in the early 60s had a facility, and no matter what a patient actually had, the cure was a lobotomy.
Lobotomy.
So, and if they survived the lobotomy, which sounds like a lot didn't, then they became his patients for further experimentation. So he was later arrested, tried, and executed. But who knows? Could be a demon deal, could be something inhuman, could be something else. So, no, but they have a lead at least now.
Yep. And Dean asks, what's up with the creepy ass mask? And Sam explains that it's a plague mask that doctors use because they thought they filtered out disease. And Meadows was wearing one when he was caught and they had to rip it off. And we're going to talk about what's up with that creepy ass mask. So this is lore. We're going to talk about plague doctors, and this is going to get real gross. But first, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's boring. It's not, nothing I say is ever boring, or dry, because everything I say is interesting. But it's less pussy at the beginning. That's what I'm going to say. So,
Ew.
Yeah, the pus doesn't come until later. So plague doctors were hired by European towns as government contractors specifically to treat plague patients. While most towns already had doctors, those doctors were in private practice and didn't want to die from the plague. In Venice, only one of 18 physicians stayed during the plague outbreak of 1348. They were just like, see ya, I don't want to deal with this, right? So generally the plague doctors were new physicians or those doctors who couldn't really do well in private practice or just volunteers who thought they could help after seeing like other people doing it. Like this really reminds me of Miracle Workers, the Dark Ages season, where she's like, I want to be a doctor. And he's like, this is all you have to do to be a doctor. That's what I feel like the plague doctor's like.
Got it. Yeah.
All right. So the contracts of many plague doctors have survived, and that does give us insight into their pay and their duties. Their roles were more administrative than medical, as they were tasked with tracking the number of plague deaths and bearing witness to the dying's last requests and wills. So, people would come in like, oh, I have the plague. No one else wants to be there but the plague doctor. So This is what happens to all my stuff. If hopefully the plague doctor was honest and would tell the accurately
the real thing
what
and
you
not steal
said.
it. Yeah.
Right. They also occasionally did perform autopsies. Some had roles in organizing burials. Usually in that capacity, they were the ones to signal to the corpse bearers that it was time to collect the dead. So they weren't like carrying the bodies out, but they were the ones who'd be like, yep, this one's officially dead. He's not, he's not faking it, or mostly dead. He's all dead. He's mostly dead. And then they bring out your dead, and then the wagon would come by and they pick him up. That's historically accurate. So they also certified the house as plague free after the required quarantine period was filled, meaning that the survivors could then re-enter society. So that was an important thing that they did. Within their contracts, they were required to treat everybody in town, regardless of economic status, although wealthier customers were likely to be sold additional tinctures and protective potions, because you have the extra bucks, so you get the good stuff. The doctor was supposed to not charge for her services, but the plague customer could offer money. Their salary, though, was usually more than enough to make charging unnecessary. The plague doctor hired for the city of Orvieto, Italy in 1348 was paid 4 times a doctor's salary. The Italian town of Pavia created a contract for Giovanni di Ventura in 1479, and he was offered 30 florins a month, which was equal to about 40 grams of pure gold, which I have no idea how to relate to modern currency. The Newcastle blog gave the comparison that a skilled worker in the same town would struggle to earn 60 florins over 200 days. And this is just the world's worst word problem.
Yeah.
So plague doctor in a town is making, but it's just to say they had a good living while you lasted. Giovanni was also offered a free furnished house and citizenship in Pavia as long as he didn't fuck up. The town also agreed in the contract to keep a barber surgeon on the payroll to lance plague boils because that was too gross for physicians to do. The town's attitudes toward the doctors shifted as public sentiment surrounding pandemics evolved. Sometimes they were welcomed and even held for ransom, which many sources cited as evidence that they were valued. They were like, yeah, they were really liked here. They would hold them for ransom, which is a very strange way of saying, I value your place in my society. But anyhow, when people were just over the sickness and over the plague doctors would be mocked, they'd be vilified, and the contracts would sometimes have to include protection against the angry mobs who blamed the plague doctors for spreading the plague. There were also the unscrupulous plague doctors who ran off with their dying patients' money or sometimes sold literal snake oil remedies. And it was a lonely life, as oddly nobody wanted to hang out with the dude who just came from the plague house, and an isolation requirement was often included in the plague doctor's contract.
Yeah, it seems like tough to make friends.
A little hard. So the most destructive period of the plague was between 1346 and 1353, during which some experts estimate that half of the European population died. And typically the plague ran in 15 to 20 year cycles. And so plague doctors just became part of a public health strategy because it was happening so often. So it would just be like, oh, we're having plague. It's time to just bust out this contract, right? And Italian city-states really prided themselves on their response plans. Like Venice had the world's first permanent plague hospital and quarantine station. And they had that as early as the 1400s.
Wow.
So yeah. The plague had a particularly good time in Italy during the 1650s, killing over 1 million people. The plague doctors, Medicio della Pesta, and their outfits became a common sight. In 1656, the German engraver Gerhard Altenbach printed an image of a plague doctor in his outfit. Then the same year, the satirical version of that came out in an engraving called Dr. Schnabel von Rome, or Dr. Beaky from Rome. I love that his name is Dr. Beaky. And it was by Paulus First, which has since become the iconic picture of a plague doctor. First included some snark in there about how the doctor only scares people and takes their money. All right, so here comes some grossness. So if you're really easily grossed out, you might want to skip ahead about a minute. All right, medieval treatments for the plague were based on the prevailing theory that there were 4 bodily humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile, that needed to remain in balance, and that the plague was a pestilential fever that caused buboes, which sounds much cuter than they are. That are swollen lymph nodes that are filled with blood and pus. Now, since buboes tended to form in the groin, armpits, and neck, plague doctors concluded that the body was being dominated by black bile, known as melancholia, and that it was being expelled from the nearest major organs, the liver, the heart, and the brain. So to balance the humors, the doctor's plans included, and this kind of goes from least gross to most gross. So the doctor's plans included changing what you eat, including eating applesauce, mustard, or mint sauce. Delightful. Taking medications that cause beneficial vomiting and urination, not so fun. And bloodletting. Not honestly the least fun. Here comes some least fun. Sometimes doctors would rub feces on the patient. And if the patient didn't have enough of their own feces, there was always the option of dropping them in an open sewer.
No.
Yes.
Oh,
In
no.
1348, Italian doctor Tommaso del Garbo offers specific guidance on how to protect oneself when visiting the sick. His recommendations included opening windows to ensure fresh air circulation and washing the face and hands with a mixture of rosewater and vinegar. To further shield themselves, he suggested keeping cloves of garlic in their mouths and consuming bread soaked in high-quality wine, while emphasizing the importance of not standing too close to the patient.
I mean, bread soaked in high-quality wine sounds kind of like, I don't know, man.
If you're going to be around some buboes, I want to be eating some bread dipped in wine. So the buboes would be lanced to drain the pus, which was quite painful, but not as painful as those doctors who would pour mercury over them, then bake or boil the person in an oven, which was not often very successful. Other cures included drinking the mercury, or alternatively arsenic. Also not successful. I mean, I guess you're successful in that you killed the plague.
Facts.
The 16th century royal surgeon Thomas Vickery touted the benefits of plucking a live chicken's butt and putting that on the buboes. So you pluck the butt. And
So you put chicken butt?
Chicken butt. What's up?
What's
chicken
up,
butt?
chicken
And I laugh as you say, a typical plague victim died within 3 days of showing symptoms.
Oh,
Thanks to all of those wonderful,
like
wonderful scares. Yeah, I know. It was great timing. So in 1348, as the plague neared Paris, the King of France asked the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Paris what to do. This is how the science minds worked at that time. They assessed in 1345, this is the 1345, the planets Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter conjoined in the zodiac sign of Aquarius, which is a wet sign. And that naturally caused hot, moist air to blow across Europe. And that moist air left a plague wherever it passed. And since the villain was hot air, and frankly, it's a villain to me too, praise the central air conditioner, doctors recommended wearing or carrying either sweet or bitter substances like violets, wormwood, or vinegar, or if you were rich, a chunk of ambergris, which is a smelly secretion made in a sperm whale's intestinal lining, once considered a luxury item. Bad air was called miasma. Yes, ew. So bad air was called miasma and was thought to infect people through the lungs or skin. The air needed to be cleansed, so the doctors would suggest burning incense or other substances that smell bitter when burned. Spiders and toads were said to be able to absorb the air, and urine baths, along with bottled wind, were recommended. Now, bottled wind, I really hope is somebody farting in a jar.
Is this the first fart in a jar?
The first fart in a jar. Used to combat the plague. So when gunpowder became available, doctors also suggested firing cannons in the air to combat miasma. In the 1540s, the infamous Nostradamus was traveling around, and he was sometimes treating plague victims. His advice was to burn all the contaminated corpses. So he obviously was a hunter. He also created a lozenge made from rose hips, which we now know provides a good dose of vitamin C, which could have been helpful in fighting off infections. The English plague doctor Nathaniel Hodges administered to London during the Great Plague of 1665, and he at least tested the efficacy of some of the current turning treatments, like swallowing bezoar stones, which were made for animal entrails. Yes, like Harry Potter.
That's in Harry Potter.
Drinking potions made with unicorn horns, which was filings from a narwhal tusk. Oh. And using amulets like dried toads to drag out the plague, none of which proved successful. Yeah. He was a fan of sweating, not like he sweat himself, but he was a fan of other people sweating, going to sweat lodges and using that to get the toxins out.
Yeah.
And so he also really liked the ancient Greek remedy theriac, which was originally used for snake bites. And the Venice treacle version of it contained 64 ingredients, including viper flesh and opium, cinnamon, agaricon, and gum arabic. The ingredients were then pulverized and reduced to something mixed with honey. Also, to protect himself, he drank a lot of fortified white wine called sack. And which is also a thing, if you're around the plague, I do recommend drinking a lot of fortified wine. Not because it helps you against the plague, just because you want to get drunk. Yeah. And he did not die of the plague, though. He did die instead in debtor's prison. Oh. Which is probably not a better way.
No.
All right, so let's talk about our outfit. While early medieval plague doctors did not wear the standardized outfits, by the 1600s, they commonly wore what we now associate with the plague doctors. The first description of this outfit is attributed to the French physician Charles de Lorme. I don't know, fucking French. So he was a private doctor to 3 French kings and other members of the French nobility. In 1619, he wrote about the Parisian plague outbreak and described an outfit of Moroccan goat leather, including boots, breeches, a long coat, a hat, and gloves. Most famously, the outfit came with a bird-like mask with glass eyepieces and a long beak filled with perfume or aromatic herbs. The mask, or as I prefer to call it, the snout, because sometimes it was more of a hanging tube sock than a beak, and it would be stuffed with those herbs and spices. So think of it like an elephant.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. I'm imagining like a crappy sock filled with.
It really is like a crappy tube sock or an uncircumcised penis. Either way. So sometimes the herbs would be smoked before they got put into this hanging snout. And as they thought the smoke added an extra layer of protection against miasma. Vinegar sponges were also a popular addition. The mask had air holes, however, which were its downfall as a PPE device, and likely had how many plague doctors contracted the plague and died. Some would also add amuletic charms like papers with a prayer or words like abracadabra written out, and they would put that into their snout. The plague doctor's glass eyes were
magic snout?
The magic snout.
Okay.
There's a coming soon to you on Sesame Street. So the plague doctor's glass eyes were usually goggles, and these were tethered to the hood by a leather band. And this could be held to keep spurting pus out of one's eyes. And I had to fight with my computer about whether or not spurting was a word. And I'm like, I had to take polls of people and be like, yeah, like you spurt blood. So how, of course, because it was like, you want to say spurring pus? I'm like, no, I don't want to say spurring pus. I want to say spurting pus. That's what you do. You spurt pus. All right. So you didn't want to get the spurting pus in your eyes. So you would have these goggles on. And I can't imagine, like, I know Venetian glass is a thing, but I can't imagine it was very good glass.
No.
Yeah. So everything had to seem like kind of weird and far away. So the doctor also carried a cane or a long wooden stick that he also served to poke his patients, and just came in handy if they were being aggressive or just too touchy or just to keep people away. There was one story about a doctor using his cane to poke a pus-filled groin, and I debated on leaving that in or not because of how gross of a picture that paints, but then obviously I left it in.
Clearly.
So some patients were asked to be beaten or whipped by the plague doctor, as they saw the plague as a punishment from God. So he could also use his stick for that.
Oh.
The outer robe was sometimes made from linen, which sickness was said to roll off of, or goat skin, whose smaller pores were supposed to keep the plague from getting inside. The robe could be sealed with oil or wax for an extra layer of protection. Herbert Mattey, in his article, Men in Tights, Charles Delorme and the First Plague Costume, argues that Delorme was not talking about a long robe, but rather a pantalon that covered his whole body from head to toe with an opening in the front and one in the back for bio needs, so which would resemble more of a coverall with integrated footwear, or as I imagine it, footed pajamas, which complete with the flap in the back, so you could, with the butt flap, right? But Mattey also noted that Delorme was credited with curing more than 10,000 soldiers of dysentery by having them crouch naked for a few hours over the fire of burning shoes, illustrating how some of the tales of his efforts may have been somewhat exaggerated. Additionally, this doctor who made the plague doc outfit was famous for wearing 7 pairs of stockings and 6 caps in the summer and 9 during the winter.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So the plague doctor outfit would have likely provided some protection against the plague, which we now know was mainly spread by fleas. The garments did cover the face and the body, shielding against airborne droplets, spattered blood, and lymphatic fluid. The robe, being leather or wax, did prevent fleas from clinging to the wearer's clothes and infesting them. So while they didn't really know what they were doing, they actually were kind of useful.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. So plague was gross.
Yeah. Real gross. Ew.
Right.
It was pussy.
It was pussy. Boobos. It sounds like tea. Like boobos tea.
Like boba. Like boba.
Boba tea. Enjoy your boobos tea.
Ew. No, I will never be able to eat those again.
Well, good, because they're gross.
Yeah.
Okay. So Sam's phone rings and it's Sean's mother.
Yeah. And Dean is eating a lot of bacon, for the record. But so they go back to Sean's house, and Penny, Sean's mom, is explaining what happened, and that she came back into the room, and the house got cold, and she came back in, and he was gone, and the window was open. So they're like, "Oh shit!" Dean's certain that Sean is dead. But Dr. Meadows was cremated, so he must be tied to some object, and they're going to go to the Meadows house. And then suddenly it's nighttime when they arrive. And I don't understand this, because she would have called them in the morning, or it was mid-morning at least, when he was eating his crazy breakfast.
He was at the breakfast buffet.
And now it's nighttime.
And now it's nighttime.
Why is it
But I'm wondering if, like, the only thing that I thought about was just like maybe they decided they had to wait until nighttime to get into the house in order to make it either more creepy or to let the ghosts come, because the ghosts come out at night.
I guess. I don't know.
I don't know.
They go inside.
They go inside, and Dean's calling for Sean, and Sam pulls out his EMF reader, and it just starts going off.
Yes. And then all of a sudden, our creepy Dr. Meadows Dr. Ghost is right there, all ready, and he flings Sam, and he throws Dean's shotgun, and he gets him, and he's got to drill real close to Dean's face, and Dean ain't really fighting real hard, but Sam hits him with iron, he poofs away. So Sam and Dean are going to go look around some more. And they go down the same hall the boys went down, and they find the office and all the masks. And the mask that Evan and
There's
Sean
no
stole
missing
is
mask
back.
now. There's no missing masks. All the masks are there, right? Mm-hmm. And so Dean's like, maybe he's tied to a mask. And he touches a mask, and then you hear the drill sound.
Yeah. It's so obviously, that's
like, does this drill have a never-ending battery? Like that? Like, is it a ghost drill? It's a ghost drill.
It's a ghost drill.
Oh, ghost power tools. That's what we should have gotten for Father's Day.
There it is.
Sam was like, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to burn all the masks, and he's going to salt the door.
Yep. So he pours salt by the door, and our Dr. Meadows ghost comes halfway through the door, but can't get past the salt. And then he blows the salt away.
Well, he's able to like blow the doors open. When he blows the doors open, that blows the salt open. Okay, so the salt flies. But then, like, as the mask burns, and so does the doctor.
And he burns up just in time. So now they are going to go look for Sean. But now they're getting bursts of cold. So that means there's more ghosts, which is concerning. So doors are slamming, lights are exploding, all bad. And the voices are asking for the doc. So now the beds are flying around. Either way, that somehow they decide that the ghosts are not strong enough to pierce the veil.
Pierce the veil!
But are they strong enough to kill Sam and Dean?
So they should have been playing in the background. But so, okay, well, let's keep going. I'll go back to my theory about these. Why are there so many ghosts at this house?
I don't know. So they're saying there must be bodies in the house, but there's not enough time to find them.
I guess they had unfinished business because the doctor was keeping their bodies in the house, and that was what was keeping them tethered to this realm. Okay, I guess I will go with that. All right, so we need to find the bodies, and we don't know where those are buried. But Dean's like, I know. Let's ask them.
Yeah. So he pulls out a pair of syringes that he's just carrying with him apparently now. Because why does he have these? They don't have any prepared go bags. We know this. Yes, they brought in a bag, but all Dean had was a fucking shotgun. So why does he have these syringes? Who knows?
I know, he apparently didn't even have a crowbar. He had to wait for Sam to come at him with the iron bar to like knock that away. What the fuck? So anyway, so Gene is like, here is my magic I'm gonna die kit. And this comes from the Dr. Robert from that other episode, of the guy who liked to kill his patients and bring them back, go to the dead, whatever. I forgot what episode that was, but it comes from a previous episode. And so he decides that he's just going to cowboy up, and he just stabs himself in the heart. And
because Sam says no, obviously.
Of course he does.
So he stabs himself in the heart with the kill me needle, and he's like, "Here, Sam, wake me up with this. You got 3 minutes." So yeah, and so he dies. Dean dies, I guess.
He dies, and he crosses over, and he's trying to talk to the ghosts who are just ghosting him. They're just ignoring him, and they're just like, we're too cool for you. You don't even go here. And then he's greeted by a Reaper who's like, what the hell?
Yeah, Jessica's not, like, he is not interested in talking to her, and she's
just like, hi, you're gonna pass over. Like, she's doing her proper greeting thing. She's really funny. And so then Sam is just getting antsy next to Dean's body.
But Jessica poofs away somewhere, and she's like all these like rows of shelves, and yells that Dean Winchester is in the veil. And I'm like, this can't be good. No, cannot be good.
Not be good. And so Dean is following the ghost, who doesn't say anything. And then we see Sean. Oh, so Sean is dead. Didn't make it. He's dead.
So he explains that the man with the drill showed up in his bedroom, ran into him, I don't know. He put on the mask and he walked to the house, and they took off the mask and drilled into his own head. So he possessed the kid and then made him walk to the Meadows house, where then he killed him. Or he made him kill himself.
It's fucked up. It's really fucked up. It's a really fucked up ghost. I can't believe the ghost had that kind of power. No. And Evan is there too, and they can't leave. And he doesn't understand why they can't leave.
Yeah. But Dean's going to help them go to a better place, but he needs to know where their bodies are.
And here's the thing. He says he's going to help them go to a better place, but he wants to know where their bodies are. Dean wants to burn these fucking bodies.
And that's what he wants to do. And then they don't go anywhere. Then they're
not going to go
anywhere.
Right? Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. So fuck you, Dean Winchester. But so it's going to, I know that's not what happens, but so you know that's his original plan.
Yeah.
So Sam is injecting Dean with what I'm assuming is adrenaline. And
the stuff to bring him back, supposedly, at 3 minutes.
And Dean's not waking up. So why isn't it working?
It's not working. And Sam is freaking the fuck out. Rightfully so. But then Billie is there, and she freezes the scene and is talking to Dean. And Dean's like, Castiel killed you. And she's real fucking snarky. And
she's like, look at my outfit. I have had an upgrade. She is in a full length leather trench coat, and she has a big ass scythe right now. So she has leveled up. And when he says that he saw Cass kill her, she goes, how is that working out for him? Ooh, burn.
Oof. And then she likes the Winchesters talking about the finality of dying, which is funny too. But so she basically explains that now she's death.
Because there is a rule. The rule is if Death gets killed, the next Reaper to die takes his place. And since she was the next Reaper and Castiel stabbed her in the back, she got a promotion and really good eyeshadow.
Yeah. So, and so she's going to poof them to what she calls her reading room. And Dean's like, am I really dead? And she's like, that depends on you. So he's like, look, I'm glad you got your promotion. But my brother is this house full of ghosts. Like, I got shit to get, to handle.
And she's like, I'm just going to prop my scythe up against this wall. Like, I'm not really going to have a place in this room to put it. And I really it needs like an umbrella stand or something. Like, give her someplace to put her scythe. So, and then she's like, watch this shit. And she's like, it takes off her coat. And she is like, boom, I've got this sleeveless black top on underneath this so you can see my fucking guns. And she's like, that's right, bitch. I'm a strong woman. And then she's like, I'm fucking death now. And Dean's just like, we got to get back to the ghost, please.
Right. And then she's like, I need info. How am I hearing that you're slipping between worlds? And he's like, well, let's make a deal. If you free all the ghosts in the Meadows house and let them move on, then I will give you info. And so
which is better than burning the corpses, right? This is like, okay, we're actually going to let these ghosts go through the veil, which I feel like cool. Like that's nice. And so
we see Jessica do that.
Yeah. And so Jessica is there. She's got a bunch of kid ghosts, kid ghosts, and Sean and Evan are there. And then they all just flap away somewhere. Yeah.
And so Billie is like, okay, Dean, that's done. And then he tells her about the rip that Jack made when he was born and that other world is not Candyland. And basically he's confused by like why she cares or why she doesn't know about this. But he's like, she's explaining that just how everything's connected and she needs to know what the fuck's going on.
And in this, I really like her line, in this whole multiversal quantum construct we live in, it's like a house of cards. And the last thing I need is some big dumb Winchester knocking it all down.
Yeah.
Which it seems like something. And Dean's just like, yeah, that's fair. That seems like something I would do.
But she also notes that he did not ask to go back.
Yeah, he didn't bargain for himself she's like, he's changed. Maybe he isn't this guy who wants to save the world anymore. And then she monologues about, it was a pretty good one.
It is,
she that how it's not the same Dean Winchester that she knew before, the guy who just like keeps dying over and over again and just doesn't seem to like care about he's dying. And he's telling people, but it's not a big deal. And then he's working through it, but he won't. he can't, and that scares the hell out of him. And it's really sad because Dean says he doesn't think he matters, and that's why he's not begging, not this time.
And she summarizes that he wants to die, basically. And she points out these shelves are notebooks, and each is a version of how he dies, and she lists a bunch of different ways. She's like, but which one is right? And then she says based on choices.
Including heart attack. I'm not saying any of these are foreshadowing, but so these are all different ways that Dean Winchester has died. So heart attack, burned by a red-haired witch, stabbed by a ghoul in a graveyard, etc. And whether or not those are all his deaths depend on the choices he makes.
Right. But she says, but unfortunately, none say that you die today. So now that she's got her new job, she sees the bigger picture, and she knows that him and Sam are important. That's what it comes down to. So she's like, she won't tell him why. She won't tell him what. She ain't thrilled about it, but he needs to keep on living. And boom, he comes back to life.
Oof. Right when he's asking about Mary, he's like, I've got to know about my mom. And then like right when he's there, like boom, he wakes up. So he doesn't get to know about what's going on with Mary.
No. So we cut to the morning at the house, at the Meadows house and the Meadows place. And we are seeing coroners rolling bodies out. Photographs of bones. And Sam and Dean are off to the side talking. And basically, Sam's note calls out that the shot didn't work at first, but then all of a sudden Dean's back. And Dean's like, oh, I got lucky, man. And Sam's like, also, all the ghosts are gone. And Dean's like, we'll talk about it later. And Sam's like, that's a load of shit. Whenever you say that, we never fucking talk about it. And guess what? Dean actually cracks and talks. What? Holy shit. Did we have progress? Did that 10 minutes of therapy do something? I don't know. But either way, Dean's going to have a conversation with his brother. And he explains that Death's not dead because now it's Billie. And Billie is not dead either. Surprise! But that they basically she took care of the ghost in exchange for intel, and that they are important and have work to do. So,
and he has no clue what that means.
Is. No idea.
Yeah. And Sam asks Dean if he's okay. And Dean's just like, no, pretty far from okay. Like, I really feel like, I just died today and came back. Yeah. And then we get this kind of sad thing where Dean always believed that what they did was important and worth the cost. And they kept on fighting because he thought they were making the world a better place. And now with Mom and Cass, he doesn't know. And he just needs a win. All he needs is a damn win. And then they get into Baby and they're going to drive away from where they were parked in the middle of the crime scene. That car was like in the middle of the lawn, like where they were pulling the bodies out right next to. Like, I'm sure like the sheriffs are just like, this is fine.
These assholes. Yeah. Fucking feds. That's probably what they were thinking. Feds, yeah. But we got It's Never Too Late by Steppenwolf playing as they drive away. And we see Penny crying, looking at her dead son. It's a very upsetting scene. Anyways, we see kind of cut to a few other things with Dean driving and Billie reading about Dean's deaths.
Just for funsies. I mean, I would too. I mean, they all have to be entertaining. I would just sit up there and read through all those books.
So, and then Dean gets a cell phone call and he looks, it's very like intense at Sam. And then he drives to an alley with the First Street Mission is what you see the sign for. But that's not what you're looking for. We're looking at who is at the payphone.
And it's Cass.
It is.
And then they longingly look into each other's eyes.
And then that's it. That's all
and it ends. Dusty L may write again. We'll see.
Damn it.
And that's how it ends.
Yeah.
You love Dusty L.
No. So we've got a few cast members on this one. I'll go down. So
casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
We've got Sean Rader was played by Seth Isaac Johnson. You've seen him in episodes of Once Upon a Time, iZombie, and Firefly Lane. Penny Rader is the mom. She's played by Allison Richmond Peck. She's been in a few episodes of Smallville. She was in like a lot of Battlestar Galactica as Jean. She has had a role in The Day the Earth Stood Still. She's Olivia in the 12 Monkeys series, the recurring character, and Bev in the series Ginny in Georgia as a recurring character. Jessica is played by Kayla Stanton. She's been in episodes of Lucifer, and she was a zombie in Escape from the Living Dead in 2016. Our Dr. Avery Meadows was played by Sasha M. Ramallo. He's been in episodes of Legends of Tomorrow and has done a lot of a ton of short film work. Evan was played by Josh Hudnick, and he's been in episodes of iZombie and Nancy Drew. Mike, played by Micah Solis, has been in episodes of The Good Doctor, The Magicians, and Riverdale. And our ghost dude, the bald one that didn't answer Dean, was played by Dan Veda. He's been in episodes of Arrow and Psych.
Oh, fun cast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I love the Billie part of this episode, kind of, even though it's frustrating that Dean's making weird choices, but I don't like jump scare and the ghosts when they make that real shuddery movement.
Yeah, I mean, but there weren't a lot of ghosts, and it was almost, we had both a monster of the week and the big overarching storyline with, like the big canon reveal of Billie is a new death, which is, a really, and yay, y'all elevated Billie to this. She was such a great Reaper and such a good character, and it was so sad to see her die that it's such a great way to bring her back.
And we get Cass back officially now. Now we know he's back. It was interesting. There was zero Jack. Even at the intro, we didn't see him at all.
Right. Jack was watching ferrets.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I like that we're carrying I do like that Dean is being less of a dick still. That's great that we're maintaining that for now too.
But he's still in super deep depression.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, to the point of if I was psychologically diagnosing Dean, I'd be like, Dean, maybe you want to consider some antidepressants. And maybe at this point when we start thinking about your mental health and starting to think about some other paths down there, not diagnosing you, but I'm just saying this is really deep and dark, and you should maybe see more than that one therapist that you just
accidentally
saw. The shapeshifter one that you accidentally saw in the last episode. Yeah. Maybe, like you said, he feels like he got some growth out of that. Maybe this is something you should consider doing more than once.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in their line of work, they have a lot to talk about, probably.
There's a lot of trauma to process, considering that, I had to sit in my therapist's office and process that I'm still traumatized by a snake in a drain, Yeah. I think about, they've seen monsters, not just snakes in drains.
Yeah. A little bit different.
Yeah. I do, the way they cut Jack out of the episode, I think is interesting, right? It's almost just, to me, that seems almost production more than storyline.
I fully agree. He was shooting something else that week.
He was not available that day.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what that feels like.
I fully agree. Or it's
just we're not, well, we don't want to pay his rate. I know he didn't have, But anyways, that's just what it makes it feel like when you come up with those excuses for why Jack's not there.
Fully agree. But yeah.
So we're moving along.
Yes.
I'm glad Cass, we've got the reintroduction of Cass coming back.
Yeah,
so
that's a big deal.
Good.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll maybe Dean, I'm never the optimist. Maybe Dean can see the sunshine.
Yeah. I was like, who are you saying that?
No. I don't know. I mean, he did get his I appreciate, obviously, Sam's enabling of his alcoholism is, it's a little much in this episode. You're just no one needs to be I know you're trying to make your brother feel good, but maybe the way you don't make your brother feel good is by encouraging him to drink beer with breakfast.
Maybe.
And I'm glad that the strip club was healing for Dean's soul, and hopefully he put some girl through college.
Sure.
at least he paid, for a book.
Maybe.
All right. I think on that note, we'll end it. Does it sound good to you?
Yes.
All right. Cheers.
All right. Cheers.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Be a Dick production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios Podcast Network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.